The Yankees are going to go 162-0.
Hopefully.
If you don't believe me, Ryan Dempster is here to confirm that from, of course, MLB Network. 213 on your DirecTV. Ryan, am I right?
I don't think they're going to go 162-0.
What's more likely?
But really close.
Like what? Maybe like 140-22?
No, what a great opening day, huh? What a way to start it. Giancarlo Stanton showing up in town and doing what he does best and putting on a show, hitting the ball. I said it last night, a country kilometer up there in Canada. So it was pretty fun to watch and pretty dangerous lineup. They're going to be a pleasure to watch all year.
Yeah, snark aside, Ryan. Of course, obviously, I'm just being the guy that overreacts to opening day and the incessant coverage, which undoubtedly we will get about America's most popular team coming up. I truly understand. But as a pitcher here, how do you work around those two in the middle of the lineup?
Well, yeah, I think that's the key is you can't really work around those guys. I was saying yesterday, what do? You put them on, and then the next guy is capable of hitting it out, and then Gary Sanchez behind them, and the next guy behind. You have to be aggressive, and it's kind of like the boxer mentality. If you're facing the big dog and you're just thinking you're gonna outlast him and wait around till he shows some weakness, you're gonna be in trouble. You have to go hit him in the face first, and so you have to go in. Be aggressive, pump the strike zone, get ahead in the count. Because if you get behind the count to these guys, they're going to do some huge damage. And the right-handed pitchers with good stuff and good sliders, I think they're going to be susceptible to some strikeouts. But when they're facing lefties, unless it's a really, really tough lefty, you got to hit your spots. Otherwise, you're in trouble, man. It's not going to pay off for you.
I'm talking to Ryan Dempster, of course, from MLB Tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern time on MLB Network. Yankees Blue Jays 7 o'clock coming up this evening. The other guy, and we saw him on the screen there, Ryan, was Aaron Judge. Did we? I don't want to say exposed, but the way that Aaron Judge was striking out. Granted, it happened in the regular season as well, but in the postseason, do you think he's more susceptible to that, I guess is what I'm saying? I mean, can he be pitched to better than Giancarlo Stanton?
I just think the fact that he's a little bit younger and a little bit less experienced, and you see that with young guys. When you look at the playoffs and you look at what happens is you get down to the better teams, and with the better teams, you have the better pitchers, and those guys execute better. So as his career goes on and as he gets at bats and he gets experience facing these guys and knowing how guys are going to pitch them and watching how they pitch Giancarlo, that I think those things will really pay off huge dividends for him. He's a home run hitter. Home run hitters strike out. Not many guys are the Albert Pujols where they hit 45 but strike out 50 times a year. I think you're looking at a situation that the more at-bats he gets, the better off he's going to be. And I think having Giancarlo and seeing that and understanding how guys are pitching them will help benefit both of them. But, I mean, you saw it. He struggled after the All-Star break last year, and then he came back on fire in September. And you're going to have ups and downs. But I could see him going out there and having maybe not home run-wise, but, getting on base and average-wise having a better year than he did last year.
Ryan, you pitched 4 opening days, 2 for the Marlins, back-to-back years, 2 for the Cubs, back-to-back years. What's that like?
It's great. And I know, people see it as overrated, but for a player, you do all this work in the off season, then you get to spring training, and it's just go time. It's like the bell's ringing, and here we go. Now all these things that we worked so hard for in this base that I set upon myself to be ready to go a whole season is coming to a culmination, and it's starting. And to be the guy that leads that off, to go out there and start an opener, it's always going to be a sold out show. The house is packed every time, no matter where you are. And I think I said it last night on the show. My favorite one was at Olympic Stadium in 2002, just in Canada. I'm a Canadian guy at home, pitching against the Expos, and it was sold-out crowd with those vuvulas or whatever they call vuvulas.
Was it Vuvuzela, right?
Vuvuzela, that's
it.
Yeah, sounds like the pitcher for the Rockies. But it's a blast, and it really is. And then it's back to work the next day. But it's kind of what you're waiting for all year for the stats to matter. You look at baseball cards, no matter how many you look at, there's not any stats on the back for spring training, and so now it all matters, and just an honor to take the ball for your team and start it all off.
Well said. Ryan Dempster, the Nationals have an opening day today after a rain out. Granted, they are on the road. They are in Cincinnati, but it will be a sellout crowd there because it always is for the Reds on opening day. A lot of people think it's Bryce Harper's year, the Nationals' year, to represent the National League. Do you think, however, this is Bryce Harper's final opening day with the Nats?
I don't know. I've thought about that because you see him as a national drafted, number 1 overall, and come up and be this superstar, win an MVP. And I know they're going to try and do everything they possibly can to keep him. But at the same time, once you become a free agent, a lot of people trying to take you out to dinner and wine and dine you and have you come play for them. And sometimes somebody makes an offer you can't refuse. And I know there's a lot of teams that would love to have Bryce Harper all across the league. I'm sure all 30 would. Probably 25 of those, he's out of their price range. But the Nationals, they have great ownership. They have a lot of money there, and I could see him coming back and being back there and signing a deal in Washington. I know he loves it there, so I don't think it. I think he might. I think he might come back there at the end of it all.
What about out here in L.A.? Ohtani 1 for 5 yesterday, but hitting 8th, which is a little bit odd for a DH. But you want him in the lineup. Do you think that he can withstand the rigors of pitching and DHing?
I don't know. And I wish I could give you yes. I wish I could give you no. I just know how hard it is to pitch in the big leagues, and I definitely know how hard it is to hit because I wasn't a very good hitter. and so it's an extremely hard thing to do at this level where guys are constantly making adjustments. In Japan, you're pitching once a week. You're not facing the best of the best pitchers day in and day out where you are here. And I think that he has the talent. You look at the teams and the people that were going after him. These guys aren't idiots. They're baseball geniuses. They got top-notch scouts, and everybody says all these tremendous things. You see the video. He throws up near 100 miles an hour. He's got power. I think there's a possibility if you look at players out there that could. He could. I just think it's a huge challenge, and maybe, and especially, too, not only doing that, but then coming to a new country where they don't speak your language, where you got a culture shift, where you got different things that you have to get used to. It's just a lot for him, and I think it might have some bumps in the roads at first, but I think that there's a possibility he could do some special things. And I think spring training was just a tool for him to get ready for the season. As we saw, he goes out there, gets a base hit, had a couple good at-bats. He looked better yesterday than he did in any spring training game.
Yeah, sure. And that's part of it, too, isn't it, Ryan? Just you see this with position players coming from Japan or from Korea, for that matter. There's a process to get acclimated. I mean, not everybody is Ichiro coming in and getting 200 hits right out of the gate. And when you throw that into it, I almost wonder if the Angels would be better off if they just said pitch, and every now and then we'll give you a bat, but don't worry about that now.
Yeah, I think, but what happens is when you make promises to a guy who chooses to come there, you can't make that decision. So it is hard. I remember when Fukudome came over from Japan in that first month of April, he hit the game-tying home run against the Brewers off Gagne, a 3-run homer, and then, he's coming up with big hits, makes the All-Star team, and then the league caught up to him. And that's what happens in the big leagues. It's adjustment central. People are constantly making them. You have scouting everywhere. You got people in the stands and cameras on you, and they will find a weakness and exploit it. And you have to find a way to realize when they're making those adjustments on you and counter those adjustments, like a chess match always. So if he can do that and understand that and make those adjustments, then he can have some success. But you're right; it's a huge change. There's been one Ichiro, and that's it. And
yeah,
this kid's really special, and he's got ability for sure.
By the way, it was weird last night watching Ichiro. Great to have him back, by the way, in Seattle. But to see him in left field, and then he took his hat off at one point. They had a shot of him in left field, and the gray hair out there. It was kind of jarring, but it's awesome to see him there. But it was odd to see him taken out late innings for a defensive replacement.
Right? He was
like
the guy.
It's Ichiro.
He was the best defensive right fielder for years. Just his ability to climb a wall, to make a throw, to do whatever, and he's. It is awesome to see him back in Seattle to, probably finish up his major league career here. Who knows if he ends up going to Japan I always joke around. He's kind of like Benjamin Button. He just seems to never get old. Last night, I thought the same thing last night. It was the first time I was like, whoa, he's a little gray now. And he looks a little bit older. But, he sets a tremendous example for his teammates, how to prepare for a game. And he still has the ability, man, to put the barrel of the bat on the baseball.
Yep, almost like a tennis ball. He's just kind of dropping it over the net or dropping it over the head of the first baseman whenever he needs to get on base. Ryan Dempster, before we go, our poll question. Chris, can you update the poll question? Because it actually, Ryan, involves one of your former teams here, the Marlins. Want you to weigh in. Chris, go ahead.
All right, Ryan, what would be the bigger upset? Loyola Chicago beating Michigan tomorrow, Tiger Woods winning the Masters, the Browns making the playoffs this season, or the Marlins finishing with a winning record?
Well, I've been watching the basketball tournament. Loyola's got as good a shot as any team to win the whole thing, the way they've been going.
I'm with you.
Tiger Woods, something special is happening there. I don't know what it is, but something's going on. And I'm going to be at the Masters, so I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Game dropper. Yep. Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the Browns, they're the Browns, but eventually you got to win. So I'm going the last one. The biggest surprise would be if the Marlins had they just don't have the players. And then you lose your catcher, and you lose a pitcher, and you lose all these guys. But they got some great young pieces that eventually down the road, and I'm never doubting a thing ever that Derek Jeter touches, because he finds a way to make things work and not just work at a high level. So eventually they will be in a very good spot. It's just not going to be this year.
Yeah, and I'm with you. That was Ryan. I had yet to give my answer to the question on the air, but that was going to be my answer as well. I don't know the Tigers going to win it, but I wouldn't be stunned. The Browns, teams go from worst to first in the NFL every year. Although this would be monumental, it's probably got to be the Marlins.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. MLB
Absolutely.
tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern time, leading into the Yankees and the Blue Jays, 7 o'clock on MLB Network. He started 4 opening days. He won a World Series in 2013 with the Red Sox. Ryan Dempster, thanks for taking your time out. I know today's crazy. Appreciate it.
Hey, absolutely, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend.
Likewise, Ryan Dempster.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.